Painting hair in watercolour isn't easy and I need some more practice. So today I want to share with you a little practice painting session that I gave myself this week. In a video I did a few weeks ago, I told you that I was teaching myself to paint people in watercolour. I said I was going to take it nice and slow and build up my skills and confidence so that I could start painting portraits. Last weekend I decided to have a go at painting from this photo that I have of my youngest son. He was about 5 when I took this photo. I was attracted to this photo for 2 reasons. I liked that the sun was on him and it was casting those beautiful shadows. But I also liked it because I didn't have to deal with the eyes and the nose just yet. I felt confident that I can paint from this photo. I thought if nothing else, it'll give me practice mixing skin tones and applying them. So here's the painting that I did. I was quite happy with it. Everything went fairly smoothly except for the hair. I struggled with it and I feel that I overworked it. I washed it in and everything was looking okay, but then I went a bit too dark too quickly and I lost all the highlights that I had. So then I scrubbed it back here and there with a scrubber brush, but then it looked all patchy. So I struggled with it and I know that I overworked it. And I quickly realised that I needed some practice painting hair. So I went through my photos again and I found this photo of myself. I thought this one won't be too difficult. It's achievable and it will give me some practice. I know that curly hair will be much more difficult to paint, but I'll build up to curly hair. Let's try and get straight hair sorted first. Okay, I've got a fairly simple drawing here. When I drew the hair on, I looked for sections of hair that I'd be able to paint, and I divided it up into those sections. I'm painting on some Saunders Waterford Hot pressed watercolour paper. This is my practice paper. I've stretched it and I've attached it to my gator board. I thought it would be a good idea to paint a wash of skin colour over the top of the face, just in case I wanted to have a go at trying to finish it after I've painted the hair. This is a very pale mix of raw sienna and Alizarin Crimson. After that wash had dried on the face, I looked for the lightest colour that I could see in the hair, and then I mixed up some Daniel Smith buff titanium with a touch of Naples Yellow, and I thought that I'd wash that all over the hair, and then I'll build up the colour over the top of that slowly. That first wash has dried, and now I'm going to start painting each section of hair. This is burnt umber that I'm using. I'll try and leave some of that lighter first wash showing in places. That's where I think I went wrong with the other painting of my son. I lost all the lighter wash when I put the darker colours over the top. I'm using a fairly large round brush. This is a Vinci Maestro. It's a number 8. I'm using this larger brush because I want to force myself not to fuss with it. I don't want to get bogged down in detail and overwork it. So this bigger brush, I hope, will stop me from trying to do that. Here I'm painting a few little stray hairs coming off the side. The burnt umber that I just painted on is still damp, so I thought I'd paint some Vandyke Brown onto the darker areas that I see on the reference photo. Because the burnt umber layer is still damp, this Vandyke Brown will blend softly with it and it will give me soft paint edges. I'm not ready for hard paint edges just yet. Now I'm starting to paint on the next section of hair with burnt umber. I'll do the same thing with this section. I'll paint some Vandyke Brown over the top of this before it dries. paint a few little stray hairs off the side here as well. So that's still damp, and now I've got some Vandyke Brown on my brush. So I'll build up the darker colours slowly and gradually. I'm thinking my paint might be a bit too wet at the moment. There's a section right up the top here. I'll paint that in with some burnt umber as well. Okay, I'll leave that section for now and I'll come over onto this other side. I'll repeat my process. I'll paint the burnt umber on first onto the dry paper, section by section. I'm applying the paint in the direction that the hair is growing, trying to do it in simple strokes. I'm trying also to leave small areas of that lighter colour showing. So I don't want to completely cover that if I can help it. Just painting a bit more paint there to darken it slightly. I thought I'd work on this bigger section here and let that section at the front dry. I think I thought to myself, I won't go too dark just yet with the Vandyke Brown. I'll try and get the burnt umber all over the top of this side of the hair before I try and put the Vandyke Brown on. So I've wet that larger section there with water because I think it would be easier for me to paint it on the damp paper. I can take my time, I don't have to rush. I'm not sure how much detail I want to put on this back section of the hair at this stage. So I'm thinking I might try and keep the detail around the face and then the hair at the back will be softer. That's what I was thinking to myself anyway as I was painting this. I'm feathering off those edges at the bottom. And you can see I'm trying to leave a little bit of that underwash showing. I don't want to completely cover it if I can help it. So here I've got burnt umber still on my brush. I haven't changed colours, but it's a bit darker this time. So to get it darker like this, I've wiped my wet brush over the pigment itself. And that gives me that darker colour. So rather than use the watery paint that I've mixed up, I've wiped my wet brush over the pigment itself. Because I'm working on the damp paper here, all my paint edges are soft, which is what I want at the moment. So then I wet the next section. That section that I just painted has dried, so I'm not going to disturb it. And then I start to paint the burnt umber on that section. I feather it off at the bottom. And I follow the direction of the hair with my brush strokes. And again, here I'm trying to leave some of that yellow underwash showing in places. And I paint on this section, still using the burnt umber. this section at the back isn't quite as damp as it was. It started to dry a little bit. So again, I've wiped my brush over the pigment to get it darker. And I'm painting some darker areas of burnt umber now. So the paper's still damp. It keeps those paint edges soft. So I can come back to this one and do the same thing here. By wiping my brush over the pigment, not only do I get darker paint, but I also get thicker paint and it doesn't spread as far as the watery paint. And I keep going section by section in the same way. Again, I'm trying to leave some of that yellow underwash showing. And then I pick up the darker pigment again. I paint that over while it's still damp. So all of this side so far I've only used burnt umber over the top of that yellow underwash. I've painted in those other two sections and now I'm painting that darker pigment over the top. Now I'm ready to start painting the darkest areas, so I'm using Vandyke Brown now. Here I've realised that I have to be careful with my brush because I'm forming the side of the face. So I'm looking carefully at my reference photo. You can see that darker colour runs down the side of my face and it goes beside my eye there as well. So I need to take it down further. Those are white cockatoos you can hear in the background. I can see that that darker colour comes down here beside the cheek as well. And then I can start to add some darker areas. So here I'm painting on dry paper. I wasn't sure whether I should paint on damp paper or dry paper here, so I decided to have a go on the dry paper to see what it looks like. There's a slightly darker area here that I can see on the reference photo. I keep going with the Vandyke Brown and I'm mindful that I need to leave those previous washes showing in places. I don't want to completely cover one layer with another. So I've done a bit more up the top here and I'll just darken this section right up the top. I need some darker colour under here in this section that flips over. So this is Vandyke Brown and I'm painting on the dry paper. So now I'm ready to start adding some darker areas onto this side. This area here around the face I'm painting on dry paper. As I said before, I thought I'd try to keep the detail around the face, and then as the hair moves away from the face I can have less detail. So I'll paint that area further back on damp paper and that will give me the soft edges that I'm looking for. I'll wet this big section of hair with some water and I'll start painting some Vandyke Brown onto it. I switched brushes too. I'm using a number 5 now instead of the large number 8 that I have been using. I sweep the brush down over the paper and I push it down when I want a wide stroke of paint, and I hold it up on its tip when I want finer lines. And all the time I'm conscious about leaving areas of the previous washes showing. So because the paper's damp here, I'm getting those soft paint edges. I'm not sure whether I'm going to leave it like this, but I wanted to see what it looked like. And then I repeat the process on this back section of hair as well. So now I'm darkening the front section. It's following the shape, the way the hair grows. Here I'm going quite dark with the paint. That's the darkest area that I can see, so I've put the paint on quite heavy there. So now I'm thinking I need some darker colour up in this area here. So I'm going to do this on dry paper with the Vandyke Brown. So I've added a bit more there, and now I can see this area up here isn't dark enough. So I'll just paint another layer over the top of that. I can also see that this area down the side of the face isn't dark enough, so that needs another layer as well. I've done a bit more on this area at the front with Vandyke Brown. I've also put my reference photo away. There comes a point where I need to stop looking at the photo and just focus on my painting. How can I improve what I've already got on the paper? So I keep layering the Vandyke Brown just to darken it. And now I'm thinking I need another wash of burnt umber in places, just to redden it up slightly. So that's burnt umber. I've put a bit more Vandyke Brown on this area, and now I'm coming back with the burnt umber. So I'm getting to the point where I think if I go any further I'm going to start to overwork it. So I'm going to leave it there for now. That's as far as I want to take it at this stage, because I've decided that I want to have a go at painting the face. When I've finished painting the face, I can reassess the hair then and see if I need to add any more detail. So what did I learn? I learned that I need to look for the lightest colour and paint that on first. I shouldn't get lost in the detail. I should try and divide the hair into sections to make it easier for myself. I need to use a larger brush than I normally would, and that'll stop me from fussing. And I need to make sure that I use the reference photo as a guide only. I shouldn't try and follow the reference photo exactly as I see it. There comes a point when I might need to put the reference photo away and just focus on my painting, focus on the marks that I've already made, and see if I need to improve them. I'll get there. It'll take time, but I'll get there. Thanks for watching my practice session. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments if you've got any suggestions for any painting topics that you'd like to know more about. Don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button, and I'll be back before too long with a new video for you. Painting hair in watercolour is not easy, and I need some more practice. So today I want to share you. I still got my lunch in my mouth. I had tomato soup. Had a haircut too. Finally. I felt confident that I can paint from this photo. I thought if nothing else, it'll give me practice mixing skin tones and applying them. So here's the photo that I did a painting. And just focus on my painting. Focus on the marks that I've already made and see if I need to improve them. That's as far as I want to take it at this stage, because I've decided that I want to go a half. I've decided that I want to go a half. So that's as far as I want to take it at this stage, because I've decided that I want to go half. Oh, I did it again. I want to go a half. That's as far as I want to take it at this stage, because I've decided that I want to have a go at painting the face. See, I got it that time. When I've finished painting the face, I can reassess the hair then and see if I need any more detail. So, what did I learn? That'll learn ya.